I saw Mandalorian and Grogu. I saw it.
You saw him? I wasn't able to get to it. I wanted to do it, but it's, yeah, with the baby, it was hard.
It's okay. It's fine. Nina was totally uninterested. It kind of started with, she was like, oh, I don't have Memorial Day off. You do. So you and Gloria can do that while I work. And I was like, well, actually, we could go Sunday. She was like, Memorial Day would be perfect. And she was like, no, I'm actually kind of dying for some alone time. And The Mandalorian and Grogu sounds like a great way to get it. So I took my child, who I would say liked it at best.
If my boys were interested in Star Wars even a little, I'd take them, but they don't care about Star Wars at all.
Yeah, she doesn't really like Star Wars that much. We used to have one of those golden books that did the whole saga, like all 9 episodes or whatever. And so we used to read that, and I would tell her the stories a little bit. You know, and like Disney Infinity has Luke and Darth Vader and stuff. So she's like aware of the characters, but she's never really dove in or anything. Never really got all that excited about Star Wars. I think what's ironic about this release, this movie, is a lot of people, I think, were turned off by it, aside from the fact that the brand has had a tremendous amount of damage done to it. So people are just like, Star Wars out. Even though there's not been a movie for 7 years, there has been like a shitload of TV shows no one's watched. I'm sure like the average viewer, I'm sure the normie viewership is feeling like either way behind on Star Wars or overexposed to it through internet culture and merchandise and everything else.
Already dead.
It is kind of wild just thinking back to like 2015 to now. But I remember being shocked by how excited people were by The Force Awakens, because I felt they were like, oh my God, there hasn't been a Star Wars in forever. I was like, it's been 10 years, not that long. I mean, and we had Clone Wars, and like it actually felt a lot to me then like it sort of does now, where I'm like, it never stopped. So I think a lot of people were, this was tracking poorly, and then ultimately I think it made 160 million or something like that. Not a lot of money for a reported budget of like 165. So that was one of their big things, was like, this is a lower budget Star Wars movie. They did not spend $250 million on it, which would have been more standard for them nowadays.
There's a lot of marketing for it though. Like there's a lot, like I've seen a lot of marketing like everywhere.
Yeah. And that's not part of the production budget. Yeah. A lot of Burger King tie-ins and that sort of thing. But I think the average person, aside from just being Star Warsed out, they also maybe felt like, well, yeah, I maybe saw the show 6 years ago or 7 years ago. I remember like the season 1 was releasing. It was like the second or third episode of the season when Rise of Skywalker came out.
Right.
And I remember seeing Rise of Skywalker and being like, Mandalorian and Grogu is a lot better than this. Or Mandalorian at the time. There was no Grogu. And, it was shot on the volume and all this stuff. But I remember, really liking season 1. There was like that Seven Samurai ATST episode that I thought was really cool.
Bring me the baby.
I would like to see the baby.
There was like him like scaling that sand crawler with the Jawas. There's all that cool shit with the IG-88 style droid where like he blows himself up like self-sacrificially. Taika Waititi played the droid. There was the heist with Bill Burr in that season 1. And then season 2, some people like it a little bit less because it started to tie into the Star Wars universe more. And I think people were kind of excited to have something that was a little bit more standalone.
Yeah, they brought more Boba Fett's in there.
Yeah, Boba Fett shows up, and Ahsoka has a whole episode. I actually really like the Ahsoka episode. I think it's like that episode is really good, I thought.
Did they bring the Katie Sackhoff in that one? Or
yeah, I think she shows up, I think that season. Yeah, Starbuck.
Starbuck.
There was also Timothy Oliphant. He had like Boba Fett's armor in the first episode of season 2.
All right. The Oliphants.
It's an elephant. They have to fight a giant sandworm. They have to team up with some Tuskens who are, misunderstood. It's an old Western. It's the, the natives and the Westerners, have to team up against like a common threat. I'm going to go out on a limb. That episode, the sandworm one, right, or whatever they called it, the giant fucking sand monster.
Oh yeah.
That they all have to fight. I think that is my favorite Star Wars thing that came out since the original trilogy.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I like that. There was the Bill Burr one where he's doing another heist with Mando, and he comes across like his old officer, and it's like he used to be in Vietnam. He used to work as an Imperial officer, and he in a fit of rage like kills the guy, and they got to get out of there.
Right.
That's a really good one. So I'm a fan. Like I thought Mandalorian, I always used it as an example of like, well, obviously you can make good Star Wars. It's not a simple matter of like, there's no good Star Wars to be made. Andor, of course, is great, but it doesn't count. I'm sorry. It doesn't count because it's just not Star Wars. It's some other thing.
I know it is. It is some other thing. I mean, it's good, and like it's one of those things where it's like it's almost too good, and it's not Star Wars.
Yeah. So then this movie comes out. Well, it seemed obvious that they should make a movie based on their most. Because you have to remember, like in terms of escape velocity, Mandalorian is the only TV show, certainly on Disney Plus, out of all the Star Wars ones that reached whatever, like 10 million viewers or that kind of that big must watch, must subscribe to Disney Plus to see it kind of show. None of the other Obi-Wan Kenobi, it did well. It didn't do that well. It did like, I think like 3 million viewers less or something. Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Acolyte.
And then season 3 of Mandalorian like kind of shit the bed though. It was like it was a big wet fart. Like you had Jack Black and Lizzo episode, which was like, what were we doing?
Right.
What else happened in that season? All I know is Jack Black and Lizzo. That's all I remember.
Yeah, season 3 was just a total dud. It was, they invented the volume on Mandalorian, and it seemed like a good way to solve the problem of like, how do you mass produce Star Wars content? Because you're not going to go out to Tunisia every time, and CG, CGing all the backgrounds all the time is very expensive, and generative AI didn't exist yet. Not that you could really manipulate it to any major artistic end even now. But then it felt like season 3, it was like, okay, Obi-Wan Kenobi was the same way. It just felt like all the sets were like 10 by 10 and so you had like this giant screen, but nobody could like move in it. It was just too small.
And also it was like kind of confusing because there was 2 episodes of Book of Boba Fett that were basically Mandalorian episodes. And
Right.
they like undid what kind of the dramatic conclusion to season 2 within another show. So it's just like things just started getting muddy and messy.
Right, yeah. The Book of Boba Fett there's like 2 episodes that just are Mandalorian episodes with Luke and stuff. Like you can't even remember that. Oh yeah, that wasn't even that show. I will say, Book of Boba Fett has, in my opinion, 2 really good episodes. There's the first one where it dances with wolves. It's just dances with wolves, but I like it. I think it's cool.
That's fun.
And there's the last episode, which like they have the giant shootout in Mos Eisley.
Right.
And then like a Rancor shows up and Grogu shows up and everybody's there. And, it's a little bit like just toys slamming into each other, but it's pretty, Cad Bane, that guy, like I thought he was a cool bounty hunter.
Oh, yeah.
See, there's stuff. Like people do forget a little bit, I think. It's not all Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah, that Obi-Wan Kenobi show is dog shit, which is really quite tragic.
Yeah, it is tragic. But all of this stuff diluted everything.
That's right.
And so when you have so much of that, and it's like almost like anti-hype for this movie. And the fact is that this movie was brought about by desperation, really, because they had so many projects that were supposed to be movies, like the Taika Waititi one. Who was the Wonder Woman director there? She was supposed to do a movie.
Oh yeah. She's gonna do Rogue One, or no, Rogue Squadron.
Yeah, and Ryan Johnson was supposed to have a trilogy. They had all of these movies that they were like greenlit and then never went anywhere. And then finally they're like, Mando and Grogu, because we know people like this.
There's going to be a Lando show.
Yeah.
There's so many projects that just, of course, Game of Thrones was going to do Knights of the Old Republic. Then the guy who did Logan was going to do Knights of the Old Republic. And Boba Fett movie. No, there's a Boba Fett show. No, Obi-Wan movie. No, Obi-Wan show. The Obi-Wan one I feel like is really tragic because I feel like you had one shot at Ewan McGregor at this age in between where it's not super weird that it's not Alec Guinness, and like you could slot in one story. And I think like Vader could be in it, but they probably should not meet,
Yeah, that was bad. And it probably shouldn't have been Leia. It should have been Luke, or, he should have been like the weird hermit in town or whatever.
There's no need to have Leia and Luke as children in a show. Like there's no need. Just have them do something else. I don't know what you should have him do, but it's something. It also felt weird. Like they got just kind of like some random director from Mandalorian to do the whole show. Like, it didn't even feel like it had, like, Filoni at the helm or anybody who was, like, a major player creatively at Lucasfilm working on Obi-Wan.
And it felt very volume-y, like, with the Red Hot Chili Peppers running in circles and stuff.
Who could forget? Flea running around in circles. So yeah, they put out this movie, and I think a lot of the reason people didn't want to go was because they were like, well, I haven't really seen the show, or I don't really remember the show. Now that I've seen it, the irony is like this movie, of every Star Wars movie that's ever been released, probably requires the least amount of context. No, like definitely, like by far requires the least amount of context. You don't need to know shit.
Marvel Spotlight. You don't need to watch anything. You don't even need to watch this.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be handy to know what like a Hutt is, like what Jabba the Hutt is. Outside of that, that he died in Return of the Jedi or something. Remember, there's like an opening crawl in Star Wars. In this, much like Rogue One and Han Solo, like there's just a little bit of story in a little text at the top, and it says like the Empire has fallen, and the Mandalorian and his apprentice Grogu are hunting down Imperial remnants. That's like it. That's all it says. That's the setup. And then that
actually sounds kind of interesting, actually.
Yeah. And then there's like a boardroom of Imperial officers like planning their next move on some like snowy Imperial base. And then the music, that crazy like wah! Music starts playing from Mandalorian, which I think the music is fucking cool. I love the theme song from the original show, and they really experiment in this one with synth and all kinds of stuff that you've never seen in a Star Wars movie before. Like it's not John Williams. So, it feels Asian inspired sometimes and Western inspired. Yeah, much like the show. But you hear the music, he pops in, and he's not sneaky or anything like that. He just starts killing people.
And anyway, I started blasting.
Yeah, pretty much. Because of course he has indestructible armor. It's one of the. I would say it's a strength and a weakness of the movie, is that this guy can't really be beaten. It's a weakness because it doesn't create much conflict. It's one of those movies. Remember, like The Hobbit, when they're in barrels and you don't even know what the hell is happening. There's a little bit of that where like Grogu's on his back, and you should be concerned about Grogu's safety, but you never are because this guy is like hyper competent. But it's a strength because it is kind of, I'm not sure it's worth the price of admission, but it's fun to watch this guy kick a bunch of ass. It's yeah,
it's like a John Wick type of thing.
Exactly, that's what it is, and he looks cool. I don't know. I think he looks cooler than Boba Fett spilling out of his costume.
Boba Fett. They told me I had to stop drinking beer.
Stop drinking beer so they wouldn't call me Boba Fett.
And I tried to cut back on the beers so the stomach wouldn't be out too far. Because some of these fans were calling me Boba Fett.
This is the cold open. This is the big sort of action. If this was Face Off, it would be the airport sequence. So he takes down an AT-AT walker with a thermal detonator. It's a big sequence where that all happens. And it's pretty, like, I'm sure the volume was involved, but it feels much bigger than that. It feels scoped out. The cinematography is like a little on the dim digital side, the way that it tends to be. But in my opinion, not nearly as bad as Solo, where I thought Solo was that, like, maximally.
Right.
As I go forward, a lot of people have been criticizing it for feeling like multiple episodes of a TV show strung together as a movie, which is a very funny observation because in 2008, Filoni released the Clone Wars movie, which was several episodes strung together into a theatrical release, and it was about rescuing Rada the Hutt, Jabba's son, and this is about rescuing Rada the Hutt, Jabba. So that's very weird.
We're gonna do it again.
But I'm gonna... He looks like me, or I look like him now. Somebody in the comments was like, lose the hat. You look like Filoni. But I'm going to push back a little bit on the whole it's like a TV show thing. Because the kind of criticisms I've heard is like, okay, and then at the end of that action scene, that would have been the end of episode 1 of the season. It's like, well, yeah, yes, if it was designed to be a show, I'm sure that's what they would have done. But see, we used to have these things called action adventure movies where there was normally a cold open. And there are major weaknesses with the movie for sure, but it's pretty much structured like a movie. And in fact, I submit to you, if this was a season, it would be all stretched out and fucking bloated. And, I think it works. Remember, we always say it. We're like, this would have worked better as a movie. Well, this, in my opinion, worked better as a movie. There's a third act, there's an all is lost moment we'll talk about. And then there's rising action. It's a movie. It's pretty much a movie.
It's not just that.
So he goes back to the Rebel base, and it's Sigourney Weaver, and she's as bland and energyless as everybody's saying she is. She's just saying the lines, you know what I mean? She sits down, she says the lines.
I'm gonna get my paycheck. Thank you.
It's kind of interesting. Like Carrie Fisher has left us, and now like Ripley is basically like the Mon Mothma type character,
Right.
I say just go get the Mon Mothma girl, like get her back.
Yeah, why not? Just
Right?
say
Isn't
she's
she in charge of
older,
the Rebel
yeah.
Alliance?
Yeah,
We don't need like
yeah.
Sigourney Weaver on top of it all. And it is really weird that Carl Weathers and Gina Carano are just not in this anymore. And no Bill Burr. Like everything that kind of made the show is pretty much not there.
Right. Well,
No Luke,
yeah.
no Ahsoka. Let me tell you something. If anybody is like sick of cheap, gimmicky cameos, you're not going to see them in this movie.
Pretty surprising because that's like the MO of Filoni is key jangle.
Nothing like that.
He must have been told not to do it or whatever.
Rumor has it that Favreau didn't want to, and Filoni did. Or that Filoni wanted Ahsoka or something, and Favreau didn't want it. I think Favreau, I get the impression that Favreau was like, why don't we just make an Indiana Jones movie with The Mandalorian? And I gotta tell you, like, that's exactly what this is. And I think there's a lot of strength. Because people are like really taking a shit on this movie. And I'm like, I understand. It did not change the game. This movie, it did the opposite. It is a safe ass movie, but there's nothing to be offended by here. I mean, this is just like this is a very much a take it or leave it Star Wars movie. And if you kind of already like the character, thought he was kind of interesting, I'll admit that like the faceless character thing probably doesn't work nearly as well in a movie as it does for the show. The mystery of which town will he go to next, in the show worked, and this is not really that. But I'll be nice to Disney Star Wars about another thing. I think that they've always done a good job of blending practical and digital, even in all the shitty movies. J.J. Abrams, I thought, did a really good job. We never talk about this. The sequel trilogy was shot on 35 millimeter film, which kind of blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that looks good in that trilogy.
Yeah, those movies feel opened up. All three of them look good. Maybe Rise of Skywalker's a little like how bad the movie is just so distracting.
Yeah, and it's it's almost edited strangely because they're cobbling together a bunch of different things they shot.
Imagine that was supposed to be the last chapter of the Star Wars saga, that fucking thing with the blade and the wreckage of the Death Star, which makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Just standing there, just holding it up to, oh God, why?
Somehow Palpatine's returned and Snoke's a clone and horses on Star Destroyers. And it's a whole fleet of Sith Star Destroyers. And what the fuck? Here's the Knights of Ren, whoever they are. It was so bad. I tried to rewatch it one time. It's the only Star Wars movie I've never seen a second time. That's not true. I don't think I made it through Solo. I don't think I did Solo a second time.
Yeah, I haven't made it through Revenge of the Sith the second time. I tried to and I stopped.
Really? Revenge of the Sith?
I watched it once in theaters and then I didn't like it. And then I tried recently because I think I don't know, people like the prequels and I'm like, that's my favorite one is Revenge of the Sith. So I put it on I think I talked about it in the podcast a couple years ago and I was just like, I can't. I can't. It's just it's too fucking cringe. I can't do it.
It's like the prequels obviously have gotten a big boon and it really just comes down to it's because good or bad, they were made They were made by an artist. I think even the Acolyte, people are a little bit more intrigued by it because it was made by somebody's vision.
Give us a season 2, please.
Yeah, please. It's so funny. What a ridiculous show. Okay, so Sigourney Weaver says, I need you to do a job for the Hutts. And he's like, I don't work for gangsters. She's like, it's okay. You're working for us. And he goes to the twins. I don't know if you remember the twin Hutts, like the sister and brother from brothers and sisters of Jabba on the Hutt planet. It's like a forest planet of Hutts. They have nests where the slugs come in and out of and stuff. They're all CG. From the moment I laid eyes on CG Jabba the Hutt in 1999 or 7 or whatever it was, I wasn't happy.
Where they photoshopped Han Solo going
out. Never liked it. He looks so amazing in Return of the Jedi. And they've never looked right ever since. I think it would have been a fucking baller move to make it so the Hutts in this thing. There's one Hutt, his son is a swole warrior, and so that wouldn't work. You can go ahead and CG him if you have to. But what about in close-ups? If you do a close-up where he's talking, could that be a puppet?
He felt slimy. You could see the slime coming out of his mouth, and he looked like his tongue whipping around, and it was great. You needed that.
It would have been really sick if the Mandalorian and Grogu on his back, waltzed into the palace, and the two Hutts are giant puppets. It'd be so cool.
Yeah, there's got to be some Jim Henson assholes around that can do it for you. Come on, bring them in.
Hire them. they're like, we're missing our nephew, Rata, Jabba's son. He's had a growth spurt since we saw him in 2008 when he was a baby in the cartoon show. Go find him. So they go to this, kind of like dank city planet. Mandalorian goes to a street vendor voiced by Martin Scorsese, and Martin Scorsese is an amazing voice actor, or he just has an amazing voice where you're just like, whoa, like this is like a stupid CG character, like a Dexter Jetster kind of character. But like Scorsese just brings so much to it. I was like, wow, like it feels like there's a human being on screen all of a sudden, even though it's an alien. Rata is now a humongous like warrior hut. He's fighting in an arena, finds out who he's fighting for, some, crime lord. He meets with a crime lord who says, all spoilers, by the way. Sorry, everybody. He says, yeah, actually, tomorrow night is his last fight. I've rigged it, so I'm just going to throw in monster after monster until he dies. And Mando meets up with Rata, who's getting like a massage in his like prison cell. And he's like, nah, like I'm scared of my aunt and uncle. I don't want anything to do with any of the Hutts. I'm a good guy. I hate my father. I'm respected here. I like doing what I do here. And he says it's rigged, and he doesn't believe him. So Mando fights him in order to beat him and free him, which he tries to do. And then, of course, they send in all the monsters now they got to fight all the monsters. And it's the chessboard from A New Hope, the one that when they were playing that little game with like the holograms. So it's all those actual monsters. They win. Rata gets away. The movie's all kind of working up until this point. And then he's taking him back. He's like, sorry, kid, it's a job. And he goes like, why are you kidnapping me anyway? He says, well, because if I return you, your aunt and uncle are going to give me the whereabouts of this Imperial officer that we're looking for. And he goes, oh, I know who he is. He's the guy who I was fighting for, which is like very convenient and strange from like a screenwriting perspective. So they go back and they apprehend him. And then he never returns Rata to the bad guys. So now the bad guys have a hit out on the Mandalorian. They send in this like droid from the cartoon to go get him with like he looks like Kung Lao, and he's like a more skilled bounty hunter.
Right.
So now they're brought into the palace. Grogu gets away. He's like hanging out with those little Babu Frick guys from Rise of Skywalker, like the little pilots. They have like a little.
Don't remind me of those things.
So there's like a lot of like cute little puppet stuff with all of the like. There's entire kind of silent scenes, like Wall-E style scenes with just puppets like hanging out with each other being cute. It's like, okay, it's like I'm fine with it. They take Mando's helmet off. He's like, this dishonors you. And he's like, well, I'll just kill you and then it will be fine. He sends him into what you think is the Rancor pit. It turns out to be a dragon snake instead. And I thought, look, when it comes to CG monsters, it's tough to impress anybody. It's tough to like take anybody's breath away. I thought that this giant cock monster that they made him. They did a good job shooting him at scale where he feels enormous. I thought they did a good job. Then a stupid thing happens where they're like, he prevails for one or two battles and they're like, good, as a reward, here's your helmet back. But they just said, they're like, your helmet is priceless. It's very strange that it felt like a video game where he won his helmet back somehow.
Or it's like in the Mario Galaxy movie where Bowser Jr. shoots the baby, then turns him into babies, and then he like throws the thing to turn them back. It's very convenient that you did that.
Right. And much like a video game, much like Mario 64 where he loses his hat and takes double damage, he does feel very neutered when he has his helmet off. When he gets it back on, you are like, okay, good. Like we have a shot here. So actually Grogu somehow like shows up in the sewer and helps him escape. But he gets this bite from the thing that it has poison in it, and the Hutts are like, whoa, you're going to die of the poison no matter what. And Grogu's able to force heal him, but he's dying of the poison kind of slowly. He's like laboring to breathe. This is the part of the movie that most people despise. And I agree. It's not great. It goes on for what feels like 15 to 20 minutes of you're just out in the woods on Planet Hut with Mandalorian just laying there dying. And Grogu's just like putting leaves on top of him and makes like a mud hut to protect him. And then he like runs into an alien fisherman who's just kind of lives nearby who has an antidote. He's like, give him this. And again, very video gamey.
Yeah.
Here, try these herbs and give him this. It goes on a while. It's like a silent movie of cute puppet shit. And he's like, it might not work. And then as soon as he eats the antidote, he just wakes up. And he's like, he's fine. So it's like, all right. And then third act, they're like, okay, we could either run or the Hutts are going to chase us forever. What do we do? Let's go kill some Hutts. And the rest of it is just them going back to the palace and,
murdering some Hutts.
Yeah, it's Mando versus the bounty hunter, and it's Grogu and Rata team up, and everybody kind of has their foe, and everybody gets to use their power. And one thing that was really interesting was the Hutts are guarded by what seems to be like repurposed, reconstructed prequel droids.
Oh, interesting.
Like the prequel battle droids and what were the ones with like shields and Phantom Menace at the beginning?
Droid the cars or whatever.
Yeah. Droid to cause. Yeah, there's like some of those. I always think it's kind of interesting when these Disney shows kind of gently incorporate some prequel shit into the proceedings.
Oh yeah.
And dude, that's it. Rata goes back to the Rebels and they fly off into space and end credits. There's not like, wow, Grogu died in this one. There's no like tune into Disney Plus next year, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't push the story of the Mandalorian further or Grogu further. It just is an adventure serial, basically.
Yeah, and I think that really struck people the wrong way. Like those who did take a chance and go out and see the movie.
And I'm sure there's some people who just wanted to like be like, oh, I bet CG Luke is gonna be in this, or they're gonna get CG Han in this, and like I bet there were some people who were waiting to pog out in their seats, but did not.
Because I think we all are very tired of that shit, of the eye rolly gimmicky cameo, the oh my god, it's Thor's hammer, and tune in next time and all that. You know, the baiting, the story baiting, but like. At the same time, it is a cheap thrill and it's something. Like, so if you're not loving the movie, it's something.
Yeah, it's something. And a lot of people become accustomed to it and they want that cheap thrill. And so I think that a little bit of that disappointment is from that.
Well, there also was a lot of talk at one time back when I think they thought that Disney Plus and movies were going to interact better, that like there was going to be a Filoni verse and there was going to be many more Ahsoka seasons and many more Thrawn adventures and Ezra in live action and the Mandalorian and Boba Fett and all the rest of it. And that all of those stories were going to culminate into a giant theatrical experience akin to Infinity War. And I think that they actually do still kind of want to do that. Because Filoni was saying, like, now that we've released this movie, we're thinking of ways that we can make a giant story where the stakes are big and the heroes are up against the lot. You can't really blame them because you got to do something. And you can't do it with Luke, Han, and Leia. And so you're going to do it with like the Boba Fett actor says they want nothing to do with him anymore. Like, they don't want to hire me. I drank too much beer.
Beer. They called me Boba Fett.
So that's what happened, man.
Well, I mean, and Marvel went down that route and they I feel like they regret it. Like they regret making too many side projects. Everything's a Marvel spotlight now or whatever.
I think if anything, what people wanted was, you remember like loving Firefly. And I think in a lot of ways, Firefly and Mandalorian are kind of, sort of, like they almost feel cut from the same cloth a little bit. And then Serenity felt like a big, like, okay, now we're at the movies, you know? And I will say, like, if you watch Mandalorian and Grogu and you think this is like TV, it's like your standards for what TV are pretty high. Because this is... I would say it's a lot more like TV has become more like movies. This is still a big movie, you know? In a way, I'm like, well, okay, if you spent $100 million less than you normally would, that's good because it looks fine. I mean, with these resources, you could tell a perfectly fine story. I'm just not quite as down on it as the average person. I feel like I was not scammed. Got a kind of generic screenplay and kind of some clunky moments and not enough conflict. And if you were looking for a big story beat, it's not there. I mean, you watch the original Indiana Jones movies and Temple of Doom is just a movie, like in the center of, you know, and it's a bit like that.
It wouldn't be a bad way to go. I think if the Mandalorian series didn't, because the Mandalorian series, well, that shit the bed. And also there was an expectation from the series itself that they're moving the whole lore along. Like every season, the Mandalorian gets more equipment. He gets more, and like he reveals more about his like religion and his identity, and Grogu's relationship that grows too. So like people had expectations from the show itself. They wanted that from the movie, and they didn't get it.
I think that's fair. I mean, I would even say like season 1 felt a bit more grave too. Like these underground Mandalorians that are survivalists and deeply religious. Like none of that's here. Like that's all gone.
Herc's off there. Bring me the baby.
Yeah, they have Warner, you know.
Bring me the baby. Bring me him.
I'll always think of fucking that movie about the bear that killed the guy.
Oh yeah, and
and he's like,
he's listening.
Oh
to
my
it.
God, I'm listening to it now, and he's eating him, and he's killing him. The bear is killing him, and then And he's like, listen to me. Never listen to that tape. And she's like, I won't, Werner. Anyway, Gloria made a really good point. She made a lot of good points while we were watching the movie. Like, there was some scene where he, in a very contrived way, suddenly just has a weapon. She's like, how did he get a weapon? She just poking some holes in it. But she was like, I think that Grogu should just be a kid by now. That was her big thing. Much the way she thought Yoshi should have been a baby in the first, in his first appearance in Mario Galaxy. She didn't say it, but it reminded me a bit of Groot. They didn't just keep playing the same note for Groot each Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Got to do something. Got to push this thing forward a little bit.
I think they kind of screwed up with that because they Yoda was 900 years old when he died or whatever. So they're like, oh, well, he's 50, but he's a baby. But that's like, with that timeline, you can't really age him because it's like, okay, maybe he says a couple words, maybe. It's just a few things.
Just push him forward a little bit.
I love you, Mando, at the end. I love you. It's something to make him like he's maturing in some way.
I was thinking, like, there are some scenes in Andor. I was thinking of like that really amazing episode where Andor is getting Mon Mothma like out of the Senate. That's a fucking cool episode. Look, I am no fan of like the Disney Star Wars era, but there's some stuff that's like, hey, that's probably worth your time. I was just thinking about that whole sequence and how thrilling it was and how kind of like big in scope it was. And Andor didn't feel like it was on the volume the whole time. And I was like, you could throw this shit right into a movie theater and it would feel very like perfectly suitable for the big screen.
Yeah. It'd be the most exciting thing theatrically in Star Wars in a while.
Yeah. But, I mean, you could easily do that sand monster episode that I was talking about. Do like an episode of Andor. Like you could do like these little, I don't know if anybody would show up for them. Be an interesting way of testing whether or not audiences are interested. Just do these little kind of boutique runs of like, the biggest moments, like the big screen moments from Star Wars, little marathons, little like 3-episode marathons.
Yeah, maybe.
Nobody's showing up. They fucking hate this shit.
Another reason why this movie probably didn't do well, they're like, oh, it's going to be on Disney Plus soon, and I can wait. I think that's the biggest thing.
I was thinking about before home video, before tape. There was a time when you made a movie so that it could play in a movie theater, and then that was it. Hope you enjoyed. Much like a Broadway show. I was like, that's crazy to think about that. Like movies weren't made to be preserved. Really, it was a point in time experience.
Yeah. Well, even when home video was around, it took a long time sometimes. Like I remember Jurassic Park took like almost a year to get back on home video, or maybe more.
What if they did that? What if they were like, no, like it's going to be 2 years before everybody would just lose interest, I suppose.
Yeah, they probably would.
Like Mario Galaxy came out fast.
Yeah, we already had it, and we've already watched it like 5 times. So.
Came out really fast. And that's the other thing, too, is like, on the one hand, I feel like movies are dying. On the other hand, every time I go, it's packed. And then you look at the growth, you're like, oh, okay, well, like Project Hail Mary made like $650 million. And
that came out in home video fast, too.
Right. We might have misdiagnosed a little bit in as much as like there was just a period of time where movies were making $1 billion, $2 billion on the regular. But I remember when, in the early 2000s or even later when a $100 million movie was a huge hit. If a movie made $100 million, was, when like the Apatow comedies were making that, it was like, whoa, like what a juggernaut.
Yeah. Yeah, again, the budgets were smaller, especially for Apatow movies, for sure. They barely wrote the thing. But
she asked me another really interesting question. She was like, what's going on? And I said, they're hunting the Imperials. And then she saw like something, the Imperial officer die. And she was like, is it like the Wicked Witch of the West? And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, like when they killed the Wicked Witch of the West, it turns out all of her guards hated her and felt liberated by it. Like, is that what happened when the Empire fell? And I was like, no, in Star Wars, they're kind of like, some people are latching onto it, which I always thought was one of the more interesting things you could explore is like which systems felt comforted by the Empire, or were funded by the Empire.
Yeah, they it seems like they play with that a little bit in all these TV shows in some form, yeah. Like
that Bill Burr episode did it in an interesting kind of way.
Yeah.
He should have been in this, right? He can come join. I know people don't like him anymore after Saudi Arabia, but whatever. Come on back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, you are right. Seems like all the side players in Mandalorian have been, they're all gone, either died or canceled or whatever.
One of the aliens from Rebels was like his co-pilot in this one, and he's kind of barely in it. He's like an extra. Glup Shido, as the kids would call him.
Glup Shido.
There wasn't really much in the way of Glup Shido in this movie. Like, there wasn't a lot of like, oh my God, him, and oh my God, him. Very, very little of that. Here's my final thought on the movie for now. Do you think that, like, what do they do? Do you just unplug the whole thing for 10 years and go like, no more Star Wars, no more nothing. We're just going to start. And then when you do finally bring it back, what the hell do? You can't do 7, 8, 9 again.
You do Heir to the Empire.
I mean, I still think that animated idea we had years ago is the right way to go. Like, do these classy animations of the legacy, of the Legends books. Here's really what I'm asking. Do you think that it would be necessary at this point for them to just come out and apologize? Kathleen Kennedy's gone. I feel like the era in which there was all this, like, let's insult the fans, that's kind of behind us. Like, people aren't really doing that anymore. And I can think of a few times in pop culture history where they went ahead and apologized to the fans, or they were direct with the fans about like a change in direction. Like, I'm thinking of Vince McMahon with WWF. He was like, we want to make content that challenges you and is edgy, and like basically like ushered in the Attitude Era by saying like, we're no longer going to do this and we're going to from now on do that. Is that unheard of in this media landscape that ever they'd come out and say like, we've insulted you and we know that, and we're going to do better, and here's how we're going to do better?
I don't think they'll ever do that.
They would never do it, would they?
No, they wouldn't. Because I don't think he even believes they're doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
It seems like he's having fun.
There's something about his stuff when it's him in live action, and this has a bit of him in it. He's an X-Wing pilot. He's a guy with a cowboy hat in the back of a fucking bar scene. Ahsoka, this was really on display. Why is it that when he's involved, all the actors are wooden as fuck? Have you noticed this?
He's bringing George's legacy forward from the prequels.
I'm deeply sorry, Master. I'll never forget that line. Deeply sorry, Master.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.